Okay, boys. Good morning, one and all. Now, today we are coming to geography lesson number 2. So, last time we have done lesson number 1, in that we learned about the latitudinal and the longitudinal extent of India. So, today we are coming to the physical features of India. So, we have already learned earlier that India is a huge country with varied landforms. So, what kind of terrain do you live in? Be it plains, plateaus, mountains, island groups, desert region, means what type of landforms that you are living in. So, now, if you live in the plains, you are familiar with the vast stretches of the plain lands, means in Gujarat, which is the plain region, we can see everywhere on the flat surface. It is easy to travel in the roads of Gujarat. But if it is in the mountain region, we have to go upwards like this, turning all these things. It takes longer time and tough also. So now, so if you live in the hilly region and the rugged terrain where mountain and valleys are common features, if you live in the hilly regions and the rugged terrains with mountains and valleys are the common features. In fact, our country has practically all major landforms of the world. That means we have the plains, the plateaus, the desert, the mountains, the island groups, all this. So now, in this region, we find different types of rocks. Some rocks are very hard, like the marble, which has been used for making the Taj Mahal. And some of the rocks are very soft, like the soft stone. So, what happened? This is used in making the talcum powder. The color of the soil varies from one place to another because the soil is formed out of different types of rocks. There are different types of rocks like the sedimentary rocks, igneous rocks, metamorphic rocks. All these rocks are there. So from that, the soil is formed, and so the color of the soil also varies. So most of these rocks, most of these rocks are formed due to pressure and the heat from within the earth. But the igneous rock, it is formed when the lava comes out of the crust of the earth, and on the surface, when it cools down, it forms the igneous rocks. So when these rocks are struck by wind, rain, water, temperature, all this, then it breaks it down into small pieces, forming soil. So it is a long process. Now, when we are coming to India, we have different types of soils. We have red soil, mountain soil, alluvial soil, laterite soil, desert soil, all these are there. So all these different types of soils are found in India. But now that we will keep it for later. India is a large landmass formed during different geological times. So due to this, it has influenced the structure of the landforms in our country. Besides the geological formation, we have weathering, erosion, and deposition. So this process also breaks down the landforms and have created and modified the relief to its present form. So what happened is that when the mountains are young, they will have pointed peaks like this. When it is affected by weathering, erosion and all, then slowly it turns down, it comes down like this. It becomes flatter. That is due to weathering, erosion. Right? So now, in this way, the earth scientists have tried to explain the formation of the physical features of the world with the help of some theories. So one of the most plausible theory is the theory of the plate tectonics. So according to this theory of plate tectonics, the crust of the earth is formed out of 7 major and minor plates. The movement of the plates resulted in the building up of stresses between the plates, causing folding, faulting, and volcanic activities. So, in that way, broadly, these plate movements are classified into 3 types. One is convergent boundary, the other is divergent boundary, and the transform boundary. So, when we say about the convergent boundary, that means if suppose these are 2 plates, when these 2 plates moves in towards each other like this, then it forms the convergent boundary. When these plates are moving away from each other, it is known as the divergent boundary. When one of the plate goes down and the other one is above, or when this plate will move in like this and started moving in this way or this way, this is known as the transform boundary. So that is how we have identified. So now, in that way, the movement of these plates have changed the position and the size of the continent over millions of years. Such movements have also influenced the evolution of the present landform features of India. Now, most of the volcanoes and the earthquakes in the world are located at the plate margin. When we say the plate margin, it means this region is the plate margin, mind you, these 2 regions like this, when the joining part. All right. So out here, most of the volcanoes and earthquake occurs. So the oldest landmass of our country is the peninsular part of India. When we say the peninsular part of India, that means we come down from the river Narmada. The southern, suppose this is the river Narmada, and the southern part of the river Narmada is known as the peninsular area, isn't it? So this peninsular part was once a part of the Gondwana land. So the Gondwana land includes India, Australia, South Africa, South America, and Antarctica as one single landmass. The convectional current from beneath the earth, so it breaks up this crust from the mantle, that is the convectional current. Mantle is very, very hot. So this heat that rises up and this convectional current, it breaks up the crust of the earth. So once it is broken up, it leads to the drifting away of the crust of the earth. So now, the Indo-Australian plates, after separating from the Gondwana land, it started moving northwards towards the Eurasian plate. When we say the Eurasian plate, Eurasia means Asia and Europe combined. That is known as Eurasia. So it started moving towards that. And what happened is, when it started moving towards the Eurasian plate, so due to this collision, what happened? Suppose this is the Eurasian plate, so it moves in this way, so there will be a collision between these 2. So in this, what happened? In between these 2, there was a sea known as the Tethys Sea. So this Tethys Sea, what happened? In this, there are sedimentary rock layers at the bed of this sea. So when this moves in, it causes the folding of the sedimentary rock layers, which causes the uplift of the Himalayas. The Himalayan uplift of the Tethys Sea and the subsidence of the northern flank of the peninsular plateau resulted in the formation of a large basin. So in due course of time, the sediments that are carried down from the Himalayan mountains by the rivers like the Indus, Ganga, Brahmaputra, and their tributaries. So slowly these sediments started filling up the basin, and in millions of years of time, the soil has covered up and it forms into the northern plains. So this flat land of extensive alluvial deposit led to the formation of the northern plains of India. Now, the land of India displays great physical variation. Geographically, the peninsular plateau constitutes one of the ancient landmasses on the surface of the earth. It was supposed to be most stable land blocks. Then the Himalayas and the northern plains are the most recent formation of landforms. From the viewpoint of geology, Himalayan mountains form an unstable zone. The whole mountain system of the Himalayas represent a very youthful topography with high peaks, deep valleys, and fast-flowing rivers. Therefore, what happened? So these high peaks, deep valleys, and fast-flowing rivers, this shows that they are very, very young because the action of weathering, erosion, and deposition are still going on. It goes on everywhere, but they have not yet managed to cover up or to break down the whole lot. Therefore, it remains pointed. When more time are given for the action of weathering, erosion, and deposition, then it will turn down like this when it is blown away. Anyway, the northern plains are formed of the alluvial deposits, and the peninsular plateau is composed of igneous and metamorphic rocks with gently rising hills and wide valleys. Now, the major physiographic divisions of India is grouped as under the first one, the Himalayan mountains, the northern plains, the peninsular plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains, and the island groups. So these are the major physiographic divisions of India. Now, the Himalayan mountains. In this, the Himalayas is a geographically young and structurally fall mountains stretch over the northern borders of our country, that is India. This mountain range runs from the west to the east direction, from Indus to the river Brahmaputra. And the river Brahmaputra is in the eastern side, and the river Indus is in the western side. So now, the Himalayas represent a loftiest and one of the most rugged mountain barriers of the world. They form an arc like this. They form an arc which covers a distance of about 2,400 kilometers. The width, the breadth, that is, it varies from 400 kilometers in Kashmir to about 150 kilometers in Arunachal Pradesh. So the altitudinal variations are greater in the eastern half than in the western half. In the western half, the height is not, the difference of height cannot be seen that much, but in the eastern side, we can see the variations. Some are tall and some are lower. That we will come later on. And the Himalayas consist of three parallel ranges from the north to the south. That is the longitudinal extent. So in these ranges, the northernmost range is known as the Great or the Inner Himalaya, or also known as the Himadri. It is a continuous range consisting of loftiest peak with an average height of 6,000 meters. The average height of this Himadri or the Great or the Inner Himalaya is 6,000 meters, and it contains all the prominent Himalayan peaks. For example, Mount Everest, Kanchenjunga, Dhaulagiri, Nanga Parbat, all these are found in the Inner Himalayas or the Himadri or the Great Himalayas. So the fall of the Great Himalayas are asymmetrical in nature, and the core of these Himalayas is composed of granite, and it is perennially snowbound. When we say perennially snowbound, that means it is covered with snow throughout the year. So now the range lying to the south of the Himadri, it forms a rugged mountain system and is known as the Himachal. Himachal is the second part. Now the Himadri, then we come to Himachal. So these ranges are mainly composed of highly compressed and altered rocks. The altitudinal varies between 3,700 to 4,500 meters, and the average width is of 50 kilometers, while the Pir Panjal range form the longest and the most important. The Dauladar and the Mahabharata range are also prominent ones. This range consists of the famous valley of Kashmir, Kangra, and Kulu Valley in Himachal Pradesh. This region is well known for its hill station. So you must have been to Kulu Manali and all for your school trip or with your parents. So these are the regions which is called the Himachal. Now, the outermost range of the Himalayas is called the Shivaliks, which extends over a width of 10 to 50 kilometers, and the altitude varies between 900 to 1,100 meters. These ranges are composed of unconsolidated sediments brought down by the rivers from the main Himalayan ranges located further north. These valleys are covered with thick gravels and alluvium. Gravels are small pebbles, and alluvium are soil. So the longitudinal valley lying between the lesser Himalayas and the Shivaliks are known as the dunes. Some of the important names of these valleys or the dunes are Dehradun, Kothli Dun, and the Patli Dun, where some of the well-known dunes are. So you must have been to Dehradun. So these are the reasons. So beautiful places. Dehradun is found in the Shivalik range. That is the southernmost part of the Himalayan mountain ranges. Now, after that, besides this longitudinal division, the Himalayas also have the west to the east division also. So this division is divided by river valleys. For example, the part of the Himalayas lying between the river Indus and the river Satluj is known as the Punjab Himalayas. And regionally, it is also known as the Kashmir Himalayas or the Himachal. Now, what happened is that the Himalayas lying between Satluj and the Kali River. Satluj and Kali River is known as the Kumaon Himalayas, and from the Kali River to the Tista River, it is known as the Nepal Himalayas, and from the Tista to the Daihang rivers, that is in Arunachal Pradesh, so up to that is known as the Assam Himalayas. Although there are regional names given in a broad categories. So the river Brahmaputra, it marks the easternmost boundary of the Himalayas beyond the Daihang Gorge. The Himalayas bend sharply towards the south along the eastern boundary, and in this region, it is known as the Purvachal or the Eastern Hills. So this Purvachal means the northeastern region where we have the states like Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, all this region. Although now Sikkim has been added, but the Purvachal are found in these 7 states. So these 7 states, the mountains in these regions are full of forests, and they mostly run as parallel ranges and valleys. The Purvachal comprises the Patkai Hills, the Naga Hills, the Manipur Hills, and the Mizo Hills. So these are some of the names that are known locally out there. The Patkai Hills, the Naga Hills, the Manipur Hills, and the Mizo Hills. So now, That's all for today. We will come tomorrow. ये एक मिनट, ये तो मैं खाली वीडियो ले रहा हूँ।